All right, it's 6:30, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is the Minnetrista City Council meeting for June 1st, 2026. I'm going to remind everybody to turn your cell phones on silent so they don't disrupt the meeting. And first order of business, would you please join me for Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I'm going to start with some introductions here. I'm Lisa Whalen, I'm the mayor. And to my left, we have council members Kathleen Refkin, Peter Vickery, Claudia Lacey, and Brian Govern. And then on the end, we have our city engineer, Allison Falsky with WSB. And then we also have Paula Baumann, who is our assistant administrator. To my right, we have Jasper Krugel, who is our city administrator, Brian Grimm, our finance director, David Abel, our community development director, and then Craig Squires, who is our chief of police, and then we also have Gary Peters, who is director of our public works department, and he and as well as Sarah Sansala are joining us today via Zoom. With that, those are all the introductions. Is there any? Are there any changes to the agenda? Any additions we need to make? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Lacey. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Vickery. Any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion passes. So next, we don't have any special presentations. We'll move on to persons to be heard. We have Eric Hempel. If you would like to say a few words, you need to come to the microphone. You'll have 3 minutes. Okay. Fred, I'm sorry, Fred Hempel?
Yes.
Okay. Did you want to say anything?
No, I'm just here to see what's going on.
Okay. All right. All right. And then Ken Vanderlinde, you signed up?
Yeah.
Just because you're here?
I was kind of waiting to see what's going on too.
All right. And then we have Dave Schultz?
That's me.
All right. Are you here regarding the BOSMA issue then? What we're going to do, I think, is hold off on that, and then when we discuss that item on the agenda, I'll give you an opportunity to speak.
Okay, separate from the 3 minutes.
Yes, yeah. Right. Otherwise, you have 3 minutes. All right, all right. We'll move on to consent agenda items. Any you wish to remove? Hearing none, then they consist of A is approve our work session meeting minutes from May 18th, 2026. B is approve our city council regular meeting minutes from May 18th, 2026. C is a resolution to approve claims. D is a resolution to approve application from R. Carol Spalding for conditional use permit to allow for the construction of a guest home over 1,000 square feet at 2501 County Road 92. And E is approve a conditional offer of employment to Richard Griffiths for the position of police officer. F is approve the termination of Officer Robbins, and G is accept the resignation of police officer Brandon White. Do I have a motion to approve consent agenda items A through G?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Refkin. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Govern. Any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion passes 5-0. Next, we have a public hearing, and this is the nuisance declaration at 9550 West Hill Road. So I'm going to start with Mr. Schultz.
Do you want to open the public hearing?
Okay. No, I'm going to have him speak first, and then I'll open it. Okay. Okay, what we'll do is, this is a public hearing, so I'll open the public hearing, and I'll keep it open until you can get back and you can do your presentation. With that, I'm going to hand it over to staff in the meantime. If you wish, so first of all, I'm going to open the public hearing. So I'm going to open the public hearing, and anybody that wishes to speak for or against this may do so, but I'm going to keep it open for a little bit. I think I'm going to have staff kind of give a background on this, and then if anybody wishes to speak, you can come to the podium.
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of City Council. Tonight, we're holding a public hearing to consider a nuisance declaration of 9550 West Hill Road. There's a resolution in your packet, Resolution 64-26, doing two things: declaring 9550 West Hill Road a public nuisance and also issuing an abatement order. And what that means is that in the resolution itself, it gives the property owner until August 1st to get that property out of the nuisance declaration, which basically means there's items that we've identified that they need to basically abate themselves. Those items being, and these are all in Chapter 5 of the City Code: storage of materials, home occupation, and nuisances. So those are the three main areas that we've identified so far. Again, the police and our building department were able to access the site on August 17th. And I think at the last meeting, you guys were able to see a video or a couple videos from that to kind of see what the conditions are on the site. A little bit on the timeline here. This initially happened, we got a complaint, or we sent a letter in September of 2025. And then we had another touch point at City Council on November 17th of 2025. Essentially, it was said to let them work on this over the winter and check back in Q1 of 2026. We did that on March 2nd, 2026. And then at that point, at the March 2nd meeting, it was directed to proceed with kind of examining the site and getting the administrative search warrant. We did not need to get the administrative search warrant. Mr. Bosma, the property owner, allowed us to access the site at that time. That's where those videos that you've seen originated. And then on May 18th, it was directed by City Council to staff to hold this public hearing and consider the nuisance declaration and the abatement order at this June 1st meeting. So that's kind of the timeline. I don't know if there's any questions City Council has directly on this.
Council, any questions at this time? All right.
Okay. That's all I have.
Does Sarah want to weigh in, or do you want to hold off, Sarah?
Madam Mayor, members of the council, I don't need to say anything at this point, but I'm available for questions.
Thank you. All right. So, Mr. Schultz, I think you said you wanted to make some comments. Okay. And for the record, can you then state your name and address for the record, or your business address, whichever you prefer?
Yes, here. Thank you. My name is David Schultz. I'm an attorney. My residence is 663 Carver Bluffs Parkway. My office address is 80 South 8th Street, Suite 900 in Minneapolis in the IDS Tower. And I represent Bob Bosma. So I brought some pictures that I wanted you to see regarding some progress that has happened at the property, and I don't have them in
We see that, yes.
pictures, so I don't know if you're procedurally allowed to keep the meeting open if I track them down, or if I left them at the property and could bring them back maybe while you're still meeting. But I think I can send them to Sarah or whoever I need to. I do have some electronically on my phone as well, but I went out to the property today, and I guess just to back up a step, the history is that Mr. Bosma called me when he was charged with a crime in this case, which is pending. We have court on for a pretrial, which is kind of, you do an arraignment, you do a pretrial. We're not at trial yet. So it's a preliminary kind of hearing. It may not resolve on July 14th, but we have a pretrial on that day. In my experience, from when I was a prosecutor for Lakeville, Burnsville, Farmington, Cannon Falls, places like that, we'd bring a criminal matter. People would work on getting the matter handled so they don't go to jail, and so that they don't have a criminal conviction on their record, and they get the property cleaned up. This is a big project. I understand that. It started, your timeline lays it out well in the paperwork for this meeting. Basically, right after winter ended is when we voluntarily allowed the police to come back on the property instead of making them get an administrative warrant. That was Mr. Bosma's decision to do that and allow them to take all kinds of pictures and video, which I understand you saw. They've made significant progress since that time. Two loads of 24 cars, I believe it's 48 vehicles have gone out. I have some of the pictures of some of the bigger vehicles on trailers that were taken off. He had to hire a separate company to do this that had bigger equipment, a larger trailer, that kind of thing. The school bus is gone, a couple of big trucks, tow trucks, that kind of thing. So I think the one picture that I can't find that I have in hard copy is a trailer with maybe 10 or 12 cars on it, at least 8. And there was at least a couple loads of those since the police were there. I have several on my phone here that I took, that I got from his sons regarding that. And then I took a few pictures today of the current status of the property. The hayfield to the, I guess if you're facing the property, the home, the hayfield way to the left there is empty of vehicles. That was full of vehicles. There's a hay wagon sitting in the middle of it now. On the right side, kind of the other far right side of the property where the barn is, and there's still some vehicles there. He's got a personal boat up there and a horse trailer up on the hill there. But that school bus was sitting there, that's gone. And then a bunch of scrap metal as well. There's still a lot of work to do. He was told at the beginning of the criminal prosecution, well, I take that back. I'm not sure if that came from your counsel or at the beginning of the criminal prosecution before I represented him, but he understood that he'd have until July to get things cleaned up. He's making, I would call it significant progress. There's still a lot to do. There's no doubt about that. But at his own expense and with a lot of time put into it, he's 88 years old. He was in the hospital for a couple of weeks here just in the last couple of weeks, unfortunately, and that set him back a bit. But he's spent a lot of time trying to work on this. Really, I mean, they came out in April 17th when we allowed him on the property. There wasn't a ton of time to do a lot before that because this started in November. So really it was winter, and then now he's making really good progress in the last 60 days.
That's great. I mean, we're really happy to hear that because we'd prefer not to have to go down a criminal road. We don't want to put 88-year-old men or anybody in jail or whatever. So we definitely, and what we could do is we could still issue the order today, but we could say maybe August 1st, or we could have an end date so that he'd have plenty of time to continue what he's already started before it would, and I'm going to have to refer to Sarah to see how that could work. Sarah, can you maybe explain briefly timeline, and then if he could meet that timeline, what would happen? Then it would just go away, or how does this work?
Sure. Madam Mayor, members of the council, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So on August 1st, that would be the deadline for cleaning up the property under the nuisance abatement order. If it's not done by then, the city under its code can go on the property and start doing the abatement. I would highly recommend in this case that we obtain a court order to do that, just because, we are going on someone else's property, probably without their permission. And then also we are removing a lot of things, and, I would want to get the permission of the court to do that. So we would file an action with the court. That could happen right after the deadline, but it may take a few weeks. He would have some time to respond to that, probably 20 days. And then once that response gets filed, or if he doesn't respond, then we could move the court to issue an order that would allow us to go onto the property and do the abatement. And then once we have that court order, we could proceed with the abatement. From what I understand, it would be a very large amount of money to abate. So we may have to actually go out for bids to to have somebody come in and do the abatement. It's my understanding it's going to be over.
So what happens with the July 14th date?
Nothing in terms of the stuff going away. I mean, I suppose he could get it done by then, and then, we would drop the criminal charges, and then we wouldn't need to do the abatement in August. But
the criminal charges, would they still be there if, let's just say we said August 1st, that everything had to be cleaned up? And they said, okay, they think they can do it by then. What happens to the July 14th hearing? It's a preliminary hearing.
I could maybe answer that, Sarah.
Okay.
I think from our perspective, from my client's perspective, we'd ask for a new court date after August 1st to come back, maybe August 14th-ish, mid-August, to say, now we came up to August 1st, we took more pictures, or we let the police back on to get more pictures, and hey, you know, can we work out a deal on the criminal part of the case? You'd still have to make decisions. Well, I can
Right.
let Sarah answer what would
Okay.
happen with the abatement then, but.
Okay. I'm sorry, Sarah, go ahead.
With the abatement, I mean, if it's not done, I mean, the criminal charges don't get the stuff off the property. That's the issue here. I mean, the consequences of the criminal charges are either paying a fine or going to jail. It does not do anything for cleaning up the property. So,
Okay.
I mean, he could be theoretically convicted of the crime, he could go to jail, he could pay the fine. That doesn't solve our problem of that there's
Right.
still stuff on the property. So in the event he is convicted, you know, we still have to clean up the property, unless you don't want to do that.
So we'd prefer to work with with the property owner to clean up the property, but we would still issue the abate or the order. So, and we could put a date in there that that maybe you think, your client thinks that they could have it, we'll say, cleaned up. I
Yeah,
mean,
if you're hoping, I could consult with them about what's realistic. for a
Okay.
date,
Okay.
Before you did that today, if that's something you're interested in, hearing his perspective of it. I've seen it, I don't have a good understanding of
Yeah.
what needs to be cut up before it's moved off versus what can just go in a trailer versus, vehicles are easier, I think, because you got to just get them on a trailer,
Right.
get them out.
Right. Well, if you want to do that, I think we'd be open to that.
I would like to see those photos of the things
Yeah.
that have been,
I'll go back to the property yet while you're still doing your business and bring them back.
That'd be great.
They were
I'd
in
like
my
to see
hand. I
them.
went to the bathroom too, but I think someone looked in the bathroom. So I have those. I also have some electronic ones that I can show you several. I mean, as much as that's helpful to you. It's a
Can you
little-
put those up, Jasper?
Can you text them or email them to
Yeah, I can
Jasper?
email. If someone's got a card, I can just sit here when you're doing other work
Okay.
and email them to someone to then revisit this. item.
Right, and maybe also talk with your client to see if, we're not going to extend this to like November or December because we need to get it done.
Understood.
And so if August 1st, August 15th, you tell us realistically what you really will do, okay? What you will do. So realistically, if August 1st isn't realistic, then give us a date that will work.
Yep.
So-
And we get down to the details, and I remember this from when I prosecuted these kinds of cases. You get down to the details of like, well, did you also mean that car? Because that one's got a sticker on it and it's licensed and, you know, or that refrigerator or whatever.
Those are
You get-
issues that you could work out with the police department because they would know which ones are legal and which ones aren't. Now, if you have 100 cars that you think are legal, probably not.
No, but the large majority, one of these pictures I'll show you,
Yeah.
if not every single one of them is licensed and insured. So I can
Okay.
share that with the chief as well. But I also wanted to mention, in the original violations section of the agenda item for today, I guess it is, it's the detailed agenda item, I guess it is. You know, it mentions the storage materials as an alleged violation, the home occupations and the nuisances. For home occupations, that business, Westwood Tree Works, is referenced in there, and that's been shut down since, I think the website's been shut down since last fall, or maybe even last summer. There's no equipment there for that. The big truck for that is gone, and that business is not being run out of there.
Okay.
In fact, all the wood there is just for keeping the house home warm now and for maybe campfires or something. But,
Okay.
So,
Okay.
again, I know that's something that we would help get documentation for, and then
Right.
maybe that nuisance item goes away, but.
Okay. All right. Like I said, I'll keep the public hearing open for a while, and then we'll wait for those pictures, and you can talk to your client. It is a public hearing, so if either Mr. Vanderlinde or Mr. Fred, if you would like to say anything, you're welcome to come forward and,
Can I ask a question?
yes.
Doesn't the homeowner have two sons that live on the property as well?
Yes.
So he's not a lone 80-some-year-old man doing this all by himself. He's got two adult sons that are helping him as well?
Yeah, I guess I don't know the details. I don't know if they live there or not, and I don't know if they have other jobs or not. But,
Okay.
I get your point, and they
Yeah.
are helping.
Yeah. Thank you.
And he's using resources. He's spent some money to get what was done by this, outfit, I forget the name of it right now, but, bringing in big semi trucks.
Yeah. And you've informed your client and his sons, so they clearly understand that if we do this, then it's assessed to the property. And then it becomes a tax that you have to pay immediately. I mean, you might want to talk to,
Well, I'm a criminal defense attorney.
okay.
And the way you do a good job for your clients is you stay in your lane, right? I'm a criminal defense attorney.
Okay.
I'm here to help, hopefully let you know about the progress, but in terms of advising on the property issues, if a suit is started, as Sarah mentioned, he's going to have to retain separate counsel.
Okay, well, we can explain as well, maybe later on in the meeting as to what the ramifications could potentially be.
Sure, understood.
So,
You want to hear that.
yeah, okay, all right.
Thank you.
Is there?
I texted you.
Okay, yeah.
All right. Mr. Hempel.
Yes, my name's Fred Hempel, and I think, I may be mistaken, but I thought I heard that the west side of the building was completely clear. I got news for you, it's not even close to clear.
Well, we're going to find out eventually.
I might mention that it's an easy thing to find out. It's 5 minutes away.
Right, yeah,
Thank you.
okay. Mr. Vanderlinde? Again, I'm sorry, you do need to state your name and address for the record. Mr. Hempel, could you state your address to?
It's 9620 46th Street,
9620 46th Street,
Watertown.
Watertown.
5388.
Thank you.
I signed in that way.
Yes, thank you.
Hi, I'm Ken Vanderlinde. I live at 9450 West Hill Road, right behind Bob. And I just want to say, Bob and his boys, we've been neighbors for, 30 years? 45. 45, yeah. He's got a heart of gold. And tried talking with him, everything else, and I know he's got good intentions, but I hear things, and I can attest, there was a couple loads that were hauled out, big loads that were, and that's just a fraction of what's all there. So
Right.
it's a start, and got kind of excited, and that was quite a while ago, and there's been not much happening since. So, and that's basically what this has been a long time, is just, it's just a slow process, and I see a few go out, but then I see more come back in.
Oh.
And on my side of the field, there was nothing in there last year, or last year it was, and now that's just filled up. So my main concern is, I'm getting older too, and if I want to sell my property and living next to that depreciates the value of my property. It's something horrible, and I don't
Sure.
want to leave that to my kids. And it's time to clean up there, it's mosquito control, it's pollution, it's stuff. And I have no hard feelings with Bob. We get along great, we talk, and Jerry, we've done stuff for years and years, like I said, lived together. But I just want to see the progress. I'm happy things are starting to turn, and like I said, I'm glad that you say that this isn't going to go until winter and be prolonged. I mean, the weather's nice. There was nice weather.
Right.
See a couple loads. It should have been just, you get a week's worth of guys just going at it. You can make some progress. So
Right.
I hope that will happen.
All right, thank you. All right, anybody else want to say anything? I'm going to keep it open, or I can close it and then allow the attorney to speak again later. I mean, you got the pictures? You have the,
Ones, and I'm working on sending some other ones.
okay.
Email.
You want to hand those to our chief and he can hand those down?
Yeah, I think this is kind of a big packet item, or you can start on either end or something, however you want to do it, I guess, but there's a bunch there of big loads, and there's the separate loads here. It's all the same. That's kind of, no, that's. So this is two packets. That was one bound together, this is just a bunch of individual pictures.
Okay. Same one? Mhm. Not sure what that means. Is that the money he got for him, or this looks like the truck that was on the?
So what's the annotation on the photos? There's like some numbers written across them.
I think that's just business stuff, right, related to, you know, how documented the loads you took out.
Okay.
To get that stuff taken out, so then how that gentleman charges for work.
Good deal. Thank you.
So any other questions? So I have a question. How has all this stuff accumulated? Why do you have all this stuff on your property?
Well, I think one of the things that happened is that, correct me if I'm wrong, Bob, where you take this kind of stuff, aluminum, steel, metal, copper, that kind of thing, in Minneapolis is a big plant where they process it, I guess. And they're pretty picky about how they take it, but they shut that down for, was it 90 days or more than that? 4 months? To build-
When? But, no, Mr. Vanderlini, no, I'm sorry. But when did they shut this down?
I think over the winter it was shut down, and so then you couldn't take it there, so you had to kind of wait.
But this has been accumulating for years and years and years,
Yeah,
so,
I'm just giving you
I mean,
recently what
Okay.
happened, because someone said more came on the property, yep, and it kind of built up during that time frame. I think, over
Okay.
this past winter. But, I mean, big picture, I think it's, people would literally dump things there, knowing that he'll go scrap them, right, when they're getting rid of them, right? Maybe some of the same people that are complaining about this, dumping things on the property, leaving it at night or on a weekend or whatever, and then they know, well, Bob will scrap it, so I'm getting rid of it. I've heard at least of a couple incidences of that. So you got something you got to get rid of, you don't know how to cut it up or take it to a scrap place or whatever,
Okay.
and the scrap guy does. In Carver, where I live, we have this cleanup days thing. You put it all on the curb, people come by and grab it who do this kind of thing and
Right.
take it and make money on
May
it.
I ask these numbers? For example, load number one, 8 vehicles, $2,950. Is that what he is receiving for these vehicles or what he's paying to get rid of them?
I'm not sure.
Can you find out?
But I guess.
That would be like a great incentive to get rid of things.
Yeah, well, he's got a good incentive, which is jail. I think, with all due respect, I mean, that's kind of was my point about the criminal. That's where I have context around this, but I don't know if he wants to share his like personal finances on that, but I can.
No, okay.
But your point is, it's an incentive if you're making money on this. Is that your point?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
that's what
I
we're,
would like to see him take this, get some money out of all this
Right.
thing that he's been doing
And he gets paid when he takes it down to this place in Minneapolis. So, yeah, I mean, that's, I guess, the answer, the really big answer to your question, why is all this stuff, because he can make money with it, cut it up, get it somewhere, and
all
then
right.
just built up.
So I think we have the photos. We've heard your story. What I'm going to say is we can always, so is the August 1st deadline? Do you know?
Should I talk to him about that before you move on, or do you want me to just take him out in the hallway and you can do business?
Sure.
Well, I'll talk with him, you can let me know when you want us to report back.
Okay. I'll give you 5 minutes. How's that?
Yeah, that's great. I
Okay.
appreciate it. Thank
All
you.
right. All right, so we'll come back to that. So we're going to go on to early voting. We'll do that next, and then we'll go back to the to the abatement issue. So early voting, 18-day option consideration.
Madam Mayor, did you want to close the public hearing?
Well,
Do you want to keep it open?
I have a comment if you want to know some of the answers that you're asking.
so what I'll do is maybe I'll keep it open just until they come back.
Okay.
And then if there's one more comment you would like to make, I'll allow that. But let's do the early voting agenda item, and then we're going to come back to the abatement item, okay? All right.
Paula is presenting on the early
Oh, I'm
voting.
sorry,
Yeah,
Paula.
Yep.
Yeah. With the new legislation that was done in May, it resulted in a new law that requires municipalities to decide whether they want to administer the full absentee voting period or to just administer the 18-day voting period. I didn't say that very well. I'll reword that. If we want to do the full absentee envelope voting system, or if we want to transition to only processing the 18 days of direct ballot or early voting.
Yes.
Yes. 18 days. 18.
I can explain more, or if you guys want to vote, we can do it that way too. Or I can answer questions, let me know.
Well, I guess the one question I had is it peanut butter across all elections? Because I'm just doing the math on the last presidential election cycle, that comes out to about 15 voters per hour for the entire 18-day period. So are we, I guess, stuck with one size fits all? Because it's a no-brainer for off-cycle elections.
Sure,
But
sure.
do we have the option to extend it for presidential years?
We do not. So if we decide to do it, it's primary and general. You know, we can change our mind. Like we could do it for this election cycle. If it doesn't work, we can decide for the presidential to change it back to the full 46. One thing to remember, if we have 5 voters or if we have 100 and whatever, staff is still doing the same setup, the same process. So it still takes the same amount of time, same amount of staff to do so. What was the rest of your question?
No, I think you answered it.
Know if you could switch back if this is.
We can, it's not we choose and this is what we live with. We do have to, if we decide to do it, we have to do it for the full cycle.
Yeah.
So every 2
Yeah.
years, basically, you could
Yep,
switch
so
it.
we'd have to wait. If we want to go back, we'd have to do it for the presidential. We'd have to make that motion. But we can't choose to do it for the primary and not the general.
Got it.
Okay.
But it's,
And people can still do the mail and.
Yeah.
They
So
absolutely
they
can.
still have a way to vote
They
earlier than
can
the
still
18.
vote, yep.
Yeah.
We do have some voters who don't
I missed that.
have trust in the system. So they can drop off their ballots here and they can be couried over to Hennepin County.
how long is the window for mail-in ballots?
Mail-in ballots, that absentee voting starts on June 26th.
It's a long time.
It's a long time. So, and then the early voting starts on July 24th. And during early voting, people can still absentee vote. They can still vote by mail during that time too. They don't have to come in, but we would have the option. They could come in and vote directly.
Yeah, that seems good.
18 sounds good.
So we'll go with 18 for this election cycle, see how it goes, and if the council desires to make a change 2 years from now, or just keep it on the horizon, on the, so you can bring it back to the council saying, okay, this is what we did 2 years ago. Do you still want to keep it at 18, or do you want to change it? And then you'll provide the statistics as well.
Absolutely. Yep, we will
All
do
right.
that.
Okay, so I think there's a resolution.
There is no resolution.
Just want direction? Okay,
We'd prefer a motion.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So is there a motion then to make early voting 18-day option consideration?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Vickery. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you, Ms. Refkin. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion passes. So next, they're still out there, so we're going to go to the West Edge North Saunders Trail replacement, accept quotes and award the contract. I believe that's Ms. Felsky.
That is, thank you, Mayor Whalen and Council. Included in your packet is a memo summarizing the West Edge Boulevard Trail project. As council may recall, we included a bid alternate with the 2026 street improvement project for the trail replacement. And as I mentioned, when council awarded that contract,
There was a data entry error on the low bidder for the street improvement project. And so council awarded the street improvement project without that bid alternate. And there was that provided council with a 70, just a little over $79,000 quote or bid that was better for the street improvement project. So since then, we did prepare the package as a separate quote package and sent it out to a couple contractors. We received, pardon me, we sent it to 4 contractors. Now, one of the things that changed from the time that this was bid to the time that it was quoted is Public Works went and got some cores out there, and we realized that instead of it being a mill and overlay, it's a removal and replacement. So that was some good diagnostic work that the Public Works Department did. So we provided that information along with the quote package to 4 contractors. We got 2 quotes back, one from JBT Blacktopping that's done quite a bit of work for Public Works. However, they did not provide traffic control or sodding, as that's not work that they perform, and they do not have a relationship with a subcontractor for that. And then we also got a quote from WM Mueller, which is the contractor for the 2026 street improvement project. And as it works out, the Mueller's quote for the asphalt work was lower than JBT's quote. So we felt very comfortable providing council with a recommendation to award the contract to WM Mueller. We also included in the quote package an alternate for removal because that is work that Public Works could perform. Public Works reviewed Mueller's quote for removals and indicated that it is lower for Mueller to do that work than for City Forces to do that. So with that, we are making a recommendation that council accept the base bid and the bid alternate and award the contract to WM Mueller and Sons in the amount of $61,283.40. And the improvements would be paid for by the park fund. And I'd be happy to answer any questions council may have.
Thank you. Council, any questions?
You mentioned that the current asphalt isn't thick enough to do a mill and overlay. Will this current replacement allow us to do that in the future?
Yes, that's a good question. So we did look at the pavement thickness so that we could be able to perform a mill and overlay in the future.
Oh, so how thick is it going to be?
I believe we put it in as 3 inches.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions? Otherwise, is there a motion to approve or accept the quotes and award the contract to WM Mueller and Sons in the amount of $62,283.40 for the Saunders Trail replacement, West Edge and North Saunders Trail replacement?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Govern. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Refkin. Further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion passes 5-0. So we're going to move back to our public hearing. Mr. Vanderlinde, you wanted to make one more comment. If you could come forward to the podium so you're on camera.
Clarification
Yeah.
on like when you said they were shut down Minneapolis. There is about 20, 30 scrap yards. There's not just one scrap yard. So there's millions of scrap yards down there that says this stuff. And answer your question about, there is value. There's lots of value in the steel. So it's a matter, that's why it's kind of upsetting is why is it so piling up when there, I understand that it fluctuates and I haul the scrap, we clean up lots of farms, sites and stuff like that. So I just wanted to help clarify some of this stuff.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Vanderlinde. All right, Mr. Schultz, you're back up.
Okay, you now should have some pictures in your email, or real soon, hopefully. I did have a chance to speak to my client. Thank you. I appreciate that because you're willing to talk about what a real deadline is and give him an opportunity to meet that deadline. So appreciate that. He appreciates it too. And he thinks September 1st would be realistic. They're going to have a lot of work to do
Yeah.
this summer.
Okay, if the council agrees to that, I just want to make it also clear to your client, Mr. Bosma and his sons, what could potentially happen if it doesn't. It's not just the criminal aspect, but it's also then the abatement would move forward, and any costs that the city would incur due to that abatement process would then be put on the tax roll of the property, and it has to be paid for in the very next year. It can't be like over 20 years. You have to come up with those funds immediately. So I just want to make that really clear. And then if it's not, if those taxes are not paid, then the property goes into foreclosure. Okay, so I want to make it very, very clear the huge ramifications here that you could potentially experience. This isn't something to take lightly, and we're serious about cleaning up this property. So, Council, would you be okay with the September 1st abatement?
Yes.
Okay, so I think we'll be fine with the September 1st abatement, and we'll go forward with that. So the abatement order will be issued, and you'll have until September 1st, and after that, good luck.
I just need to say for the record, so I've told Mr. Bosma I can't represent him. I don't represent him on the abatement issue, right, on real property issues versus the criminal matter. But I'll make sure he understands what you just said if he doesn't,
Okay.
or get him counsel that can explain it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
I'm sure if you'd be open to have him come back for clarification if he needs.
He can talk to staff, absolutely. Yeah, Mr. Bosma, if you have questions, or if your sons have questions, I would highly recommend that you talk to staff, and they can direct you or give you the information you would need. Okay? All right. Sarah, what do you need?
Madam Mayor, members of the council, you have a resolution in your packet that will basically authorize the abatement. And in order to keep things moving, I would suggest that you approve the resolution tonight with the change that the deadline is now September 1st instead of August 1st.
Okay, thank you. All right, council. Anybody want to make a motion? It would be resolution number 64-26, declaring 9550 West Hill Road a public nuisance and issuing an abatement order, changing the deadline to September 1st from the August 1st deadline that's in our packet.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Vickery. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you, Ms. Refkin. Is there any other questions or discussion?
My question is, does this gentleman understand what you just said?
I think his sons and fully understand what we've just been discussing, and Mr. Bosma is also shaking his head yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bosma.
All right. All right. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion passes 5-0. All right. So that concludes our public hearing. I'm going to close the public hearing at this time, and we're going to move on to our next item on the agenda. Thank you for coming. Yeah.
My phone's chugging.
Not yet. I'll send you an email when I get them.
Give them to you because then you can still share them with people. And
That would be appreciated.
decision, but it might be nice to see what's going on.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. Next we have, let's see. And next we have the pavement maintenance accepted, let's see, that's the, yeah, we're kind of going back and forth here. And then last one out, could you close the door if you want to be out in the hall? So if you don't mind. All right. They're going out, so that's fine. All right, next, pavement maintenance, accept bids and award the contract. And could you also maybe explain a little bit, because this was done in conjunction with Excelsior, I think that's great. I really would like to see things like that happen more often, if possible, so good job there. So,
Certainly.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. At the April 20th meeting, council approved plans and specifications for the 2026 pavement maintenance project. It includes surface treatments such as crack fill, seal coat, fog seal, and pavement rejuvenator. This was a joint project with the city of Excelsior. Amongst staff, we had a discussion and thought that it would be a good option to bring forward to council to do a joint project with other communities. By generating a larger project, we typically hear that we're getting better pricing, and I think council can see that in the bids that were received here. The cost savings for the contractor certainly is mobilization when we can partner with adjacent communities. So due to the size of the pavement maintenance project, we went out for bid, and we just bid both projects just to keep everything clean and the same, instead of doing one quote package, one bid package. Included in the packet is a summary of the bids that were received. So I'm on page 61. I include a summary of the bids that were received for the project. Now that's the total project cost. So Allied Blacktop Company is the low bid for the crack fill, seal coat, and fog seal. We also received a bid from Pearson Brothers. And then the engineer's estimate was in between the two there. And then we also received one bid from Corrective Asphalt Materials for the pavement rejuvenator, which they call Reclamite. That bid came in under the engineer's estimate as well. Council may recall, I believe it was last year, we only received one bid for that pavement rejuvenator. It's a newer product, and so I'm not surprised to see only one bid. I know that there are other contractors that are starting to get into the rejuvenator, but we feel very comfortable with Corrective Asphalt and the product that they provide.
Did they do that last year for us?
They did, and we included in the bid package for them to install, they call them booms, but it's basically like a filter within the catch basins.
Okay.
So that if there were any runoff from the product.
Yes, it would like from that. I was just going to ask you.
That's a very good question. So, no, I very confidently that we would do, nobody wants a repeat from last year.
Right. And I'm sure they don't either.
They do not. They do not. They certainly stepped up and took care of it. So we're very grateful for that, but we don't want that to happen. So further along on page 61, I broke down the Minnetrista portion of the project costs. So we're at just over $57,000 for the rejuvenator portion of the project, and then $271,250 for the pavement maintenance components. So the Excelsior Council is considering this evening. I don't anticipate that they would have any issues with this. We've set up the contract so that the project would be pay voucher for Minnetrista work comes to Minnetrista. Pay voucher for Excelsior work goes to Excelsior. So there's no need for any bookkeeping for Minnetrista to invoice Excelsior. We're going to keep those separate should the council award the contract. So we are confident with both contractors and recommending award of the contract, and I'm happy to answer any questions council may have.
Yeah, I have a question. Can you just, Reclamite, is that put on after the pavement is down? It's like a sealant?
Yeah, so this is where your city engineer is kind of like the jack of all trades, master of none. So my pavement rejuvenator, what it does is it helps with from my understanding, that the elasticity of the pavement in there. So there's a window of time where a rejuvenator can go in there, and the intent is to go and rejuvenate the binding material. I'm boring, and I know I'm boring.
That's okay.
I'm sorry, but the binding material of that, because it's a flexible pavement. So the idea is to keep it flexible.
Okay.
So so that's what the rejuvenator does. Gary can certainly pop in here and if I've missed something, but that's my 10,000 foot understanding.
Okay, and then generally, when do you apply the Reclamite then? What's the window of opportunity, put it that way?
I believe ideally within 2 years, and I think maybe 3, but I don't, from what I recall from I know Gary's spoken to the contractor quite a bit. I think it's within 2 to 4 years of initial paving.
Okay.
I see Gary's unmuted himself.
Okay. Gary, do you need to add anything? I guess the answer is no.
But it's
That answers my question.
yeah, it's fairly new pavement, to
Right.
answer your question.
Fairly new pavement,
It's
yeah.
not something that you would put on a 10-year-old street because at that point it's oxidized too far and you're
Right.
not rejuvenating pavement.
Okay.
And how long do we anticipate that will extend the life of the road?
I'm going off memory on the studies. They've had what would normally have been let's say a 30-year life or 40-year life. I think we're getting another 10 to 15.
And do you have to reapply it too then?
I think if I remember correctly, pavement rejuvenators have 2 applications.
Okay.
And then at that point, they're saying you're not going to, it's a diminishing return.
Yeah, okay.
So I think that's really good. It's good that we have a contractor that's very upfront and honest as far as the limitations, if you will, on the application of that.
Yeah.
And I don't remember specifically, but I have looked through their studies that show the longevity.
Yeah. And for the cost and the benefit, especially if it extends the life, even 10 years, really is good, especially when we're struggling to kind of keep up with all of the roads that we currently have.
Yeah, and I know Gary Peters has done a lot more. He was really the one that really brought this in and did a lot of research on this on the forefront. So I really appreciate the work that he's done on it. So I'm very confident in what I've read and based on what Gary's investigated as well.
Well, I know Gary is pretty thorough, and if he's recommending it, then it's a good thing. So, all right.
Do we know why Pearson Brothers was so much higher than Allied?
So so we did come in on the middle for the engineer's estimate. We always like to come in on the middle, so we just lucked out on that. So without talking to them, generally, when we see one contractor higher and one contractor lower, the higher bid, they might have some work already. And so I think they probably looked at this project. I know they were interested, obviously, to submit a bid. And then we saw a lower bid from Allied, and they do good work, and maybe they just don't have their crews busy enough yet, and so they're looking to fill up with some work, and so they provided us some pricing that came in under our estimate. So it's not unusual to see a delta, as you know, in street improvement projects, and I think pavement maintenance is along the same lines.
Yeah. Yes.
Madam, Gary was trying to talk. He's having some technical difficulties, but he did give me the sequence of events. So you pave the road year 1, year 2, you do the reclamite.
Okay.
Then you do reclamite again at 5 years after that, and then another 5 years after that. So there's 3 applications.
3 applications, okay. All right.
And throughout the process, you're evaluating the road surface to see how it's reacting and things like that. So
okay.
We'll get there eventually. I don't know when the first time we did reclamite was, if it was 2022.
That was
2 years ago.
I rely heavily on Gary with those.
But we'll work through that sequence, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, council, any other questions? Otherwise, so let me just get this straight. The motion should be, is it for the full amount or just for the amount that Minnetrista will be on the hook for?
Mayor Whalen, we're accepting the bids, and then I believe the way I set up, okay, here we go. So in the resolutions, I've included that I've included both the total project amount and Minnetrista's portion. So
okay.
Unless City Attorney Sensala has a recommendation, otherwise I would be comfortable if you just adopted the resolution as presented, because it covers you on both, that we're awarding the contract.
Okay.
But I've specified what Minnetrista's anticipated portion is, unless Finance Director Griffin.
And then just one other question real quick. Should for some reason or other Excelsior not want to do this, and they say, no, we're not going to do this, can we still do this for the 271?
Mayor Whalen, that's a good question. I don't anticipate that the contractor would have an issue with doing that. So typically how these contracts work, they're a unit price contract. And so there's a certain amount, if you're not using a certain percentage of the unit prices as you bid it. But
Okay,
I don't recall off the top of my head, but I don't anticipate that that would be an issue.
I just don't want to be on the hook for the 353. That's all I'm saying, basically.
Yes, that's a good
Okay.
question. It's a unit price contract. So
Okay.
you would only pay for what work they have done.
All right, so the motion will be to accept the bids and award the contract for the 2026 pavement maintenance project with the total price being $353,226 and Minnetrista's portion being $271,250, and then also also giving the corrective asphalt materials the $89,431, of which Minnetrista will be paying $57,604. Correct?
You need,
All right.
you need two motions, right? Because there's two
So-
resolutions.
I think
We
that's
can,
probably.
yeah, we can do them together. I mean, yeah,
As long as it's clear.
as long as it's clear.
Both of them, yes.
Right. All right. So I just stated the motion. Is there a motion to that, or is there a,
Motion to approve resolution 6626, accepting the bids for crack fill, seal coat, and fog seal portion, and a motion to approve resolution 67-26, accepting the bids for the wreck and light portion of the 2026 pavement maintenance project.
is there a second?
Second?
Thank you, Mr. Govern. Any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes 5-0. That concludes all of our business items. And next we move on to administrative items, future agenda items.
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of City Council, this is our first go at kind of outlining some future agenda items. So I can talk briefly about them. If you have questions, please let me know. But we will have our tobacco ordinance at the work session on the 15th. We'll have that lift assist ordinance to review at the work session on the 15th. Brian will start doing his 2027 budget kickoff at the 15th. And then we'll be doing a water rate adjustment. So as we go to monthly billing, we're also adjusting for that monthly billing on the 15th. And that's going to be at the work session. We've talked about this during the budget process last year, but then at the regular meeting, we're going to be asking you to approve those, that amendment to the fee schedule.
Okay.
Yep.
Get through all those items?
Oh, yeah.
Kind of a lot.
I think so. I mean, the two tobacco and lift assist ordinances are pretty quick, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
And then on the 15th.
Yeah.
And then we also have a land lease for cell tower discussion on the 15th as well. So we have some terms that are more favorable than what we had previously.
Okay.
So,
All right.
and then the other last thing is on the 13th of July, we have water meter software update. So there's a required update to our water meter software that
And that'll be on a work session?
it'll be work session on the 13th.
And then, can I ask, Ms. Lacy, you wanted something? You wanted to ask about adding something at one point to a work session?
Staff report, yes, I would like to add that we have some discussion about our current ATV ordinance. It just seems a bit restrictive, and one of the points seems incredibly restrictive, and I think just about every single person that lives on water in Minnetrista is probably violating it at least once a week. So
right. Well,
I think we should discuss it.
So we'll probably have to put that on the 7/13 work session then, because we've already got, so is
Maybe
council
everyone
okay?
can read it and take a peek
Yeah,
and,
is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
thank you.
You're welcome. So I'll add that to the 7/13 work session, because I don't anticipate the water meter software update will be too lengthy.
No, it's
Okay.
just a matter of getting in front of you guys.
Yep.
And at a future city council meeting, adopting it and
Okay.
implementing in 27.
All right. Then staff reports.
I don't have anything.
David, do we need somebody for planning?
June 22nd.
June 20, oh, I can't. No, I can't.
There'll probably be a parks meeting before that too.
There will be.
Yeah. What is on the agenda? Do you know?
The Planning Commission, there's 3 different items on the Planning Commission agenda, and the Parks Commission is going to talk about the event in the park.
Okay, okay.
I could do that.
So
The
Peter
22nd.
Peter could do it. All right. All right.
All right.
Thank you, Peter. Any other staff reports? We have a bus tour tomorrow. Almost full. There's a few seats left, so if you're interested, you can join us still. Anything police related? Okay, we're good. Council reports.
None for me.
None for me.
And
Well, I had attended the Pioneer Sarah Creek watershed meeting, and the Hennepin County representatives mentioned that they have, I think it was about $1.5 million to distribute for various environmental projects. And I mentioned it to Jasper, and of course he knew about it already and had applied for some help with Lyle Park. But he did say that we never get anything.
well,
So I guess that was all for naught.
Well, no, but here's the thing, we did apply for some grants for parks, and then I think Commissioner Anderson said, hey, next time you apply, let me give you some pointers, because it's based, they go through and they give you points. And so it depends on how you word it and how you, so maybe if we're gonna apply for parks grants, then we should probably talk with the county to see how we can move on up in the ratings.
Well, and if I may, David knows better than I, but I think we have gotten some of these funds in the past. It's
Yeah.
just taken, I think, three iterations.
Yeah,
Us giving more money.
okay, yeah, I think they like to see at least like 50% or
The
even,
same process in the ones that we've been awarded that we don't get awarded, so.
Okay.
The key to this is raise our amount.
our amount, okay. Maybe we'll have to talk about that. Maybe bring it up at the Park Commission, see what they think.
It's up to you.
Yeah.
It's your money.
Well, it's. So, well, put that on the 7/13 work session. Would that be too late?
We're already in applied, so we're a
Okay.
whole nother cycle out.
Oh, okay,
Get some more money in, and then we can.
and then we can talk about it? Okay, we'll put it on your radar then. All right, thank you. All right, anything else, Peter?
No, that's
All
it.
right, Kathleen?
I attended the Parks and the Planning Commission meeting the other week, which was last week. Planning Commission was just the one item that we approved, the house on the property. Parks Commission, they focused on the party in the park. They picked a date. It will be Tuesday, July 14th from 5 to 7. They're going to look into getting food trucks, possible an ice cream truck. I recommended they reach out to Macinthunes for possible donations. They thought you got the bounce house last year.
We bought it from a church. I don't remember that church. Freshwater Church, I think it was, donated their they came with their bounce house.
I think they were planning on reaching out to you about
Okay.
helping with that again.
Okay.
They were going to see about getting it posted on Facebook, and then they're going to meet in June to finalize it. They wanted to know if there's any information the city wants to hand out at the event, flyers, or maybe stuff for the 2050 comp plan to get people involved, or just any news that's happening, any just basically paperwork to hand out, or any stuff like that. Yeah. But that was the main thing, so we'll see how they do. They seem excited about it.
And it was a great turnout last time. I don't know if we did it last year or not, but anyhow, the first time we did it was a really big turnout. So that was great.
Yeah.
Let's see, are we attending the Northwest League on Wednesday, next Wednesday? And we'll be getting a legislative update from the League of Minnesota Cities. And of course, all of you were there. We did the groundbreaking, if you will, for our water treatment plant. It's really exciting. We're seeing it come to fruition. This is something that we've been working on for the past 4 to 5 years. And now we're seeing the nuts and bolts, and we're seeing the progress. So this is exciting for our community. It'll be 2 years before it's up and running. But after that, then we can address the water tower that needs to be repainted and refurbished. So, but that's really it for me, I think. Regional Council Mayors, Minnehaha Creek, and I also reached out to Minnehaha Creek Watershed District to find out what they're doing on the property on Painters Road, the property that they purchased recently, that they were going to be doing some BMPs on for water quality for Jennings Bay. So I'm just kind of curious, as I drove by there and it was kind of a mess. So I'm just kind of curious, as I know it will look great. I know it will look wonderful once it's done, but I was kind of curious as to what they're doing and what the event or what the end result will look like. So that's all I have.
I just have one more. It's kind of a side note. I know at the last meeting with the outsourcing of the water bills, I was curious how many hours staff takes on calls and what they do in the process if there's complaints or whatever. And just emailing Brian, found out that they don't actually track how many calls they get about the water bills or whatnot. So I wanted to know council's thoughts on possibly having them start tracking them in July, just so we can know if they're getting more complaints about InfoSend, the new rates, just something super simple. I just created a spreadsheet and just put tally marks on it.
Great.
For whoever answers the phone, like no, like phone call on this, just check it, like no info needed, no anything else, just so if there are a lot of complaints, we can see it. If it's high in July and then stops in August, just so we can track in case there's a huge demand on staff time, we'll have documentation to support that, which will make decisions if they do need more staff or it's not going well, we'll know, we'll have the documentation, which obviously everyone knows I like. So
I'm going to guess a lot of the calls are going to be for water rates or how come I'm getting 2 bills? I just paid my bill. Those are going to be the primary questions or calls that we're going to be getting. But that's fine. Do you think that staff can do that pretty easily?
But yeah, like
I mean, you can
shared
just,
sheet.
yeah.
That's what
yeah, I mean, just something sitting by there, they just mark it and like it's super easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, electronically or hard
Right.
copy or, yeah, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah,
basically.
get some data. All right, great. So is there anything else?
I don't know if I can ask this question, and if I can't, that's fine. But I'll ask a question, then don't answer it. I'd like to know about the police officers that were terminated.
What I would recommend, that's kind of a sensitive issue because it's, so I would say you should talk offline to Paula and or Craig.
Thank
To
you.
that point, I would like to thank Officer White for his long service with us. I was very sad to see that he was leaving. Because I remember him from one of our first national nights out in Woodland Cove, and he was like, yeah, I'm Officer B. White. And it was just hilarious, and he totally played up his name, and it was just funny. He had a very good sense of humor with the kids.
Yes, yes, the Officer White will definitely be missed. Excuse me. He held pretty much every sort of position you could have in the police department, and I think that has something to do with it. He was DTF and SRO and various other elements. So now he's moving on to the county. So
Yeah, all right.
Thank you.
Are you going to have some kind of a farewell for him?
yeah, we're still working on it.
Okay.
We're actually doing a shoot his last day, so it's going to be a full day while we're here. So
Can you keep me posted then? Or
Absolutely.
let me know when? Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thank you. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you, Mr. Govern. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes and we are adjourned. Thank you. All right.
That didn't come off as flip on.